Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. This is podcast number 80, coming to you live from Post to Post Studio B over in Fredericton, New Brunswick. This might sound a little bit different. We have two of the regular mics, but we have a third mic where Justin is. So his mic might sound a little bit different. So audio listeners will probably notice this, or the biggest difference here. But we think we have it set up where it's going to sound pretty good. So to my left is Jason. You've probably seen him on the channel a long time ago. If you're new to the channel, then he's new to you. And on my very, very left is Justin. You've also seen him on this channel. And the same thing, if you're new, then you probably don't recognize him. But he has his own channel, so you might recognize him, Hands Down Hockey. So thanks, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
The OG crew.
Yes. The OG crew, literally. Going back to 2017, post to post. So this is a very busy week in the life of the NHL. We had the awards. We had the draft on 2 days, which is ridiculous just to start out, by the way. And we had lots of trades, some ridiculous trades. I'm wearing this jersey for a very specific reason. We'll get into it. But it was a pretty intense week. There's almost too much to talk about. There's so much to talk about that I didn't write everything down because it becomes insignificant based on other huge news. And what I mean by the insignificant stuff is the trades that happened during the draft, like when two teams trade and they just swap draft picks and stuff. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. I don't care about those little tiny insignificant trades because we don't even know who they drafted. We don't know.
They may become significant trades down the road, but at this moment we don't know what those players are going to do. So
it's not worth wasting the breath talking about them. But I do have lots of news here, so I'm just going to go down and do this. And these are no particular order. Just how I wrote them down on the page here. But I'm going to go down and we'll go through everything and have a little discussion. So the first thing I have is that Ryan Miller re-signed with the Ducks, an extension, 1 year. $1.125 million as a limited no trade clause for a backup goalie with the experience of Ryan Miller. Man, I think that's a steal. It's not like Antti Niemi for $700,000 when you don't really know what you're going to get. I mean, Ryan Miller has arguably played some of his best hockey in his later years of his career. So I'm a fan of this signing. I don't know how you guys feel. How do you feel?
I like it. Plain and simple. There's no really other way to put it. I think the cap value is perfect, and I think he's at that age now where year over year is the way to go.
Yeah, he's getting up there. I think he has that over 35.
Yeah, it's
considered contract.
Like Joe Thornton with San Jose. You want to go year over year, and then him just take his life and his career year by year. That's the way to do it when you get to that age. Exactly,
and I mean, Anaheim did not have the best year. It was really frustrating. Really, really frustrating because I think they lost like 18 of 21 games at one point. At no fault of Ryan Miller or, I would say, John Gibson. But I think Ducks fans could be pretty happy with this small signing with Miller. If we move on to the draft and the news that happened there. First overall was Hughes, went to New Jersey. Were you guys shocked by this?
No, I wasn't shocked at all. To be honest, though, Kakko was really making a strong case to go first overall. He really showcased himself very nicely. But Hughes, centers just carry so much more value and worth when it comes to the draft. And I think he has all the tools to be a number one franchise center in the NHL.
Yeah, I think if New Jersey didn't have a prerequisite for a position that they wanted, I think Kakko probably would have went first. I think he's the better player. Maybe that wouldn't have happened, but they were drafting not only skill-wise but positionally. So I think it was almost a given that Hughes was going to go first.
Yeah, I think Kakko is probably the one you could look at and say he's more NHL ready.
Yeah, I agree.
Hughes. I think he could, slot into the Rangers lineup instantly and instantly have success.
Yeah, because we got to see him play internationally, even like super recently, and he's just
he's
dynamic. At another level than everyone else on the ice.
Yeah, incredible.
Super impressive. Excited to see that develop for New Jersey and the Rangers. Kakko went second. I think like the Rangers, for a team that was actually really competitive for a while in like between like 2010 and 2014, maybe up to 2015, they're like really competitive. Kind of did the rebuild, and now if you look at the Rangers, they made some pretty smart moves. So
that's the way to do it. And even outside the Rangers, you look at the Metropolitan as a whole. You look at Philadelphia, what they did, they retooled on their blue line. New Jersey gets the first overall pick, then they get PK Subban, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon. Yeah. The Metropolitan, I don't know if I sound biased. I mean, I am a Penguins fan, but dang, I can't wait to watch the Metropolitan this year.
It's going to be tough. And then you have like the Atlantic, Florida is going to be such a better team. Like the East is going to be even better than they were last year, which is a little scary. So,
big time.
The other thing I have from the draft, and by the way, I didn't watch the draft. Forgot to mention that earlier. We
started watching it.
We watched it a little bit, and then we did some other stuff, just kind of hung out and whatever. And then yesterday, which was Saturday, we were at the lake, so we didn't watch any of that whatsoever. So I actually don't have a lot to say, but I've been told and read on Twitter that Montreal stole Cole Caulfield at 15. I have no opinion. I don't know about this kid. Apparently, he's like the next Alex DeBrincat or something like that. And that's all that I read from the draft, is that Hughes went first, Kafka went second, and Montreal stole Caulfield at 15. That's all I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprises. There's a lot of teams that I thought could have actually drafted down because a specific player they had their eye on would have still been available in 5 or 6 or 7 picks. The biggest shock for me was Bowen Byram not going third overall. To me, he was the best defenseman available in the draft. And then Colorado said, okay, thank you. And now their blue line is going to be scary good in a few years.
Chicago took Kirby.
Yeah.
And
Kirby Dodge.
Yeah. So you watch obviously more than us.
I was fighting for the TV with my 1-year-old.
Who won?
She did.
Yeah. What did you think of just the process of, because we watched the beginning when Gary Bettman came up on stage, and then he came up by himself first, got booed, and they said, wait, went and got his Indians and came back, and he was kind of like a little skit basically. But I actually like that part. I like that he embraces the hate and he has fun with it. Like, it wouldn't be as interesting if he didn't. So good on Gary Bettman actually for doing that. But I just think the whole draft in general with the countdown timer, and they're bringing up like 25 people on stage for the picture, and like people who really don't have that much to do with I mean, there are scouts and stuff, and they are important. I'm not saying they're not, but
like 9-year-old kids, like
9-year-old kids, like that's cool and everything. But like the first one, the Hughes that got drafted, there was I would say a man. He was young, but he was, I would say, between the ages of 18 and 22 or something. He had on a jersey, the exact same jersey that Hughes was wearing. They were the same height, probably around the same age. You couldn't really tell which one was the draft pick. Like, put him on the end. Like he's no offense, he's kind of a nobody because I don't know who he is. Put him on the end. Don't put him holding like his arm around Jack Hughes. Like, I just think it's become such a big show. Put if you want to put a player from the team, if you want to put the GM, assistant GM, the coach, and maybe a scout, like 5. There should be like a limit 5. You don't need 25 people in the picture.
Yeah, if anything, it should be the owner, the GM, and the head coach. I mean, that alone is plenty. I mean, come on, it's a full-on posse. It's where they're all rappers.
Yeah, it's posse. And it takes them forever to get on stage and shake the hands and line up and stuff. Like,
it really slows the process down. It's a huge spectacle now. But, I mean, for fans in attendance, it can be very exciting because, you have a lot of stars there. Like, look at Edmonton when they're making selections and Wayne Gretzky's on the stage. I mean, come on, it's Gretzky. He's there. He's in attendance. That's big. That's huge.
And the draft is a little bit like the All-Star game, where it's more about the people who are there in a way, not necessarily people who are watching. So.
Yeah, big time. Because going to an All-Star game, completely different than watching it at home.
Yeah, because you've been to an All-Star game in Montreal.
Yeah, in 2009. And huge difference.
Now you're thinking about going to the draft in Montreal next year.
I'm 100% going to the draft.
100% going?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm making it happen.
Snaps.
Draft 2020. As soon as tickets become available, whenever the heck that is.
How much are tickets usually? Do you know?
I have no clue. I mean, you can look back on previous drafts and check ticket prices, but I mean, it changes based on the NHL city you're in. So in Montreal, ticket price would be drastically different, especially when you compare the Canadian US dollar.
And excuse me, you have to think about all the people in the city for this event. Hotel prices are going to go up and availability is going to go up. Where are you going to sleep?
That's why I want to book it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
But I need to wait for tickets to go on sale. I'm not even sure they announced what day it's going to happen yet. If they did, I completely missed it and haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't think it is the same day every year. I think last year was June 20th, and this year it's 21st.
It differs. Yeah, it differs for sure. I'm not sure what day it will be in Montreal.
I guess we have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's all I can do. Or else I'd book it now. If I could.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
would you ever go to a draft?
Maybe. Montreal would probably be the only one I'd go to just because it's
the closest Canadian city.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's close. And I mean, every time I go up for an NHL game, I'm always running into, NHL media individuals. I've bumped into Ron McLean in Montreal before. I've bumped into Doc Emmerich. So, I mean, if you go up for the draft, all these people are going to be in town. You could bump into GMs, head coaches. You never know who you'd see.
Can you tell the story about the chocolate bar?
Oh, okay.
Just for the new viewers.
The chocolate bar, yeah. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of a lot of people. Not so much Pierre Maguire, not so much specific individuals, but that particular day I had run into a lot of media personnel. Mm-hmm. First one I ran into was early in the morning, was Doc Emmerich. I bumped into him actually in an elevator at the Marriott downtown. And as soon as the doors opened, he was standing there. And instantly, I just lost it, like a schoolgirl, you know, like, oh my God, it's Doc Emmerich. And instantly he started laughing and said, I was one of the only people to ever recognize him in Montreal. He said, in Montreal, I barely ever get recognized. He said, strange. Throughout the U.S., he said, I'm constantly recognized. So we were on, I think, the 22nd floor, and the whole way down, he and I were just talking. And it was absolutely incredible. What an amazing person. And then he ended up shaking my hand, and then he went through the lobby on his way to the Bell Center. Because obviously they can get in much earlier than the fans, you know, to set up and get ready, take notes, whatever. Now on to Mike Milbury. Because he was in the lobby, and off the lobby there's a little gift shop there, and they sell, you know, like the morning newspapers. You can grab a coffee and all that stuff. Anyway, I'm walking by there, and there is Mike Milbury with a coffee, with a newspaper, and I said, hey, it's Mike Milbury. I'm going up and introducing myself. So I said, hi, my name's so-and-so. Nice to meet you. You know, I like your approach, how, you know, you don't hold back and you just spew what's on your mind. Mm-hmm. And he just lowers the newspaper. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then just puts it back up. Okay, I guess I ruined this guy's day, you know, speaking with him. So he grabs the newspaper, pays for that, his coffee, pays for that, and he picks up a caramel chocolate bar and pays for that. So as he's leaving, I'm walking behind him a fair distance, and I'm looking, you know, for other media personalities and stuff. And as he's walking, he finishes about 3/4 of the chocolate bar, and then he just takes the wrapper like this and throws it in a potted plant in the lobby and continues walking out the door. And I'm thinking, what an arrogant, you know, unbelievable. And that right there changed my entire perception of the guy. 100%.
This is the man who beat someone with a shoe.
Yeah, beat somebody with a shoe. And they did that on TSN. They wanted to, you know, make a mockery of him. And they said, hey, Milbury's here today on TSN. So in honor of him, we're going to show highlights of his career. And then they showed him beating the fan with a shoe, and then it cut off. And we're done.
As a Bruins fan, how do you feel about that?
I think it's awesome.
It was, I mean, as silly as it was, it's amazing that we have that clip to look back on and say that a hockey player beat a fan with a shoe.
That's an incredible clip. Or like Ty Domi when he was spraying, you know, the water bottle of the fan. The fan fell over the glass, and Domi started giving him rabbit punches. Yeah. And then in the interview, he's like, "Oh man, I love seeing the fans get so involved."
Yeah,
that's a hockey highlight, right?
Well, if you do go to the draft, and I might go myself, I don't know yet, but if you do go to the draft, I hope you have some stories like that of chocolate bars and weird stuff.
I hope I have better ones than the chocolate bar.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. But to be honest, there's kind of a movement going on, and there's a lot of hockey YouTubers chatting, and I think it might turn into a big thing.
Oh, a meetup.
Yeah, where all kinds of hockey YouTubers get together at the draft.
That'd be
in
bro.
Montreal. I've been talking to a lot of people, and it's looking like the group could be up to 10 or 15 now.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's legit.
Yeah.
That is a legit meetup.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you could schedule, say, 4 to 5 hours, you know, the day before or something. You could rent a conference room and just have all kinds of discussions, collaborations. It would just be a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah. Okay, back to the draft. There were some trades that happened before the draft and after the draft and during the draft. One of them was the trade between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. Toronto traded Marleau, a 2020 conditional first-round pick, and a 2020 7th-round pick, to Carolina for a 2020 6th-round pick. So this was 100% strictly a salary cap dump from Toronto. I believe we three live streamed the trade or free agency day maybe 2 years ago, and Marleau got signed, and all of us agreed that the contract was too long or something like that. It was either too long or too much. I can't remember what we decided.
Probably too high.
But we called it. And, I mean, that's what happened. I mean, he had to be bought out. Now he's in Carolina, and there were rumors that Carolina was going to buy out his contract, and he would re-sign with San Jose. That has not happened, to my knowledge, yet. So, I don't know. I feel bad for Marleau. He's one of my favorite players, but things just weren't working in Toronto.
That's the cap situation for you right there. I think Carolina's 100% going to buy him out. I don't see him staying with the Carolina Hurricanes.
No, I don't think so either.
He's a legend in his own right, and I think he's earned that ability to be able to dictate his future, even though, technically he can't have full control of what happens. Yeah. But, if he speaks up and says, I want to be here, or I want to be traded, I think people would listen and give him that respect that he's earned over such a long career.
I agree. Yep.
It's 100% strategic cap. And of course, the first round, that's just the sweetener. Like, hey, you want to dump cap on us and us take Marleau for you, even though we're probably going to buy him out?
Yeah.
Throw a sweetener on there for us.
Exactly.
That's where the first comes from.
And Toronto did not retain any salary, to my knowledge. So it's a straight trade.
Yep.
There was another buyout. Corey Perry got bought out from Anaheim, which was honestly a huge surprise to me. I would not have predicted that whatsoever. I can understand it because of the situation he's in. He's had some injury problems. Anaheim's been struggling, but man, he is one of the core of that team. That's like Chicago trading Patrick Kane in 4 years or 4 or 5 years. Like that's a veteran right there. So where do you think Corey Perry's going to go? I have an answer, but I want to hear.
Well, to be honest, Corey Perry's a shell of his former self. Yeah. He's not a guy that's going to put up 50 goals anymore. I mean, yeah, he helped Anaheim. They won a cup. He's won Olympic gold. He's won the Rocket. He's done a lot. But now he's no longer that player. He doesn't have that capability. And they, obviously they didn't shed the full cap because of the buyout. But I think it's next year. It's going to be over $6 million. The first year it's over $2 million. I believe. Then the next one is over 6, and then the final 2 years is over 2. So they will save. But his contract before the buyout was over $8 million a year, which is just absolute insanity compared to what you're getting out of the player now. But at the time when the contract was signed, it wasn't that bad of a deal because Perry was at the top 10 every year in scoring.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas now it's just not happening. But he'd be a great mentor for a young team. Mm-hmm. A lot of young guys would look at him and say, hey, if he speaks up, I'm going to listen. This is a guy who's won a Stanley Cup. He's won Olympic gold. He's done so much in his career. I don't see him signing long term, but it really comes down to what he would want to do. Does he want 5 years, 6 years, upwards of 7? I don't think a team should do that. Given what he's gone through this year and the injuries, what did he play? Like 34 games this season?
Oh, something like that. Yeah. Unfortunately,
I would only do at max 2 years for him.
I was thinking 2 or 3. Yeah.
Show us that you're okay.
It'll be similar to like a Backus situation, maybe a little bit. I think Florida is the perfect place for him. They have the cap. He's going from California to Florida, which is sunny to sunny. That it's good for taxes. Corey Perry's a pretty gritty player. He plays a very physical game.
That's why a lot of people hate him.
Look at Florida now. They're a really gritty, hard-hitting team. They had the most fighting majors last year in the NHL. That's a young team too. He'll be able to mentor, kind of like Yager did when he went there a little bit. I just think it's the perfect fit, and that's my prediction. So we'll see.
That'd be interesting.
There was another trade, the big one, the PK Subban trade. So Nashville trades PK Subban to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Steven Santini, Jeremy Davies, or Davis, whatever. 2019 34th overall pick and a 2020 second round pick. That's an interesting trade, and no salary was retained, by the way. And no salary was retained because New Jersey is the only team that would be willing to make the trade and take on the full contract. So you said that to me this morning, didn't you? Yeah. I mean, I feel like New Jersey stole this a little bit, considering that.
I think so.
If you look at Nashville, they gave up Shea Weber and PK Subban for what I just read: Steven Santini, Davies, 34th overall pick, and a second round pick, and it all has to do with cap. Like $9 million for PK Subban. Is he worth $9 million?
Well, he is a Norris winner. If you're a Norris winner, that ups your stock, but his offensive abilities are incredible. The only thing that bothers me about PK is sometimes he gets out of position because he wants to lay that big hit. Yeah. And I don't know how many times I've seen him get burned where he misses, he's out of position, and the first thing is a 2-on-1 the other way, and this team gets burned. But there's more to what he brings than just on the ice. You look at off the ice and the contributions he does, and just the overall person he is, his personality, that aura around him. He just spreads so much positivity.
Yeah, he does a lot.
The guy's incredible. Come on, 100% he's going to be a media personality when he retires. Yeah. The guy is an incredible talker, and he's very entertaining. Like when he did his Don Cherry impression. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've seen that clip or not.
He plays the piano.
Yeah, the fake piano. Yeah.
He, I mean, he is a guy that you want on your team. He does have that bold personality, and he's a pretty fiery player.
Oh, big time.
A little inconsistent. He brings a lot to the team. I don't think he's worth $9 million. as far as production, but I don't think Nashville really utilized them that well. Like they had Yossi and Forsberg on the back end on the power play. PK Subban sitting on the bench, and he's a power play specialist.
Shows how deep their blue line is.
Yeah,
Nashville's
exactly.
one of those teams where Subban could go to and kind of disappear. You look at other teams and Subban would flourish. And I think with the Devils, we're going to see something out of Subban we haven't seen since he probably played with Montreal. Because when he was with Montreal, him and Markov, they were the guys.
Yeah,
on the
PK
blue
Subban
line.
scored like, man, I think he had like 20-some goals.
He
that
had
year.
over 20 goals, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many goals he had this year, like 6 maybe? Something like that. Like,
But you got to give full credit to Ray Shero, and I think this all circles back to Taylor Hall and him not wanting to really commit this offseason to a contract extension because he has a year left.
Yep.
He challenged Shero and said, well, you know what? No, I don't want to get into that right now. Show me that I should re-sign here.
Yep.
Like, come on, that's a bold move to say, hey, Taylor Hall, stay here long term. We're going to do what it takes to win. That was a bold move.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it coming. And I sent out a tweet, too, and I said, I want to see a big trade today. Swear no more than an hour and a half later. The Subban deal happened, and I went, oh, my God, this is great.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
You're welcome, world. It was incredible. I absolutely lost my, I want to say a different word, but
It was surprising.
I freaked out.
I don't have the exact quote. I wish I did. The GM, David Poyle,
Yep.
he even said he didn't win the trade. Basically, he said sometimes you don't get better when you make a trade. Like he knows that he had to free up that money because we'll get into it later. The cap did not go as high as was projected.
Short term, this was a loss. Long for Nashville. I think
Yes,
long term.
it's basically something he said he needed to do, and he knows that sometimes you don't necessarily get better when doing the things you need to do just based on the situation you're in.
Exactly. So you get Nico Hischier. You've got now Jack Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
You've got PK Subban. You've got Taylor Hall. I mean, this team has potential.
Big time potential.
What are they going to do in net?
Yeah, that would be probably the one area where I'd like to see them improve more. Sorry, guys.
Because Schneider of recent. They
A little
traded
bit of this.
traded Kincaid
Yeah.
to Columbus. They got Mackenzie Blackwood.
I've always liked Kincaid.
Me too.
I've always
That
been a
trade
fan of Kincaid.
Surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
So are they going to make a play for a goalie, or are they just going to try and ride the storm?
Not going to be easy. I mean, they've already stated, I believe it was last night, that Sergei Bobrovsky and Panarin are both going to meet with Florida on Monday. I think it's almost a lock that those two are going there.
Absolutely.
Like, come on. If anything, I think Panarin could end up with the Rangers just because I believe he'd like to potentially
I've
play
heard
there.
a lot of rumors there.
But I don't know. I see them going as a pair, and I see them signing as a pair.
They have the same agent. They're both Russian.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They're friends.
Mm-hmm.
Why
makes
wouldn't they
perfect
want to play together?
Yeah.
So, I think, with Florida, if Florida can land Panarin and Bobrovsky, you got Quenneville there coaching now. There's some other moves they're probably going to make over the offseason. You better be scared of Florida.
Yeah, but with Quenneville, there's a connection there too. Panarin and Quenneville. They used
Yes.
to be together in Chicago. So,
Exactly.
I mean, there's just more and more reason all the time that they're going to sign with Florida. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
And there's a connection there with Perry. If Perry goes to Florida, Quenneville coached Perry internationally. So,
Very true.
Quenneville already knows Perry. So,
Yeah.
forgot to mention that earlier.
But yeah, also just circle back to the PK deal. Strategic. Nashville's going after Matt Duchene.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk of that actually after that trade went down, which makes sense. But what's kind of weird in a way because they were part of the three-way trade with Ottawa and
Right.
Like it was Colorado, Ottawa, and Nashville three-way trade.
Right.
Duchene went from Colorado to Ottawa, and now he's going to potentially go where Kyle Turris is.
Yep.
In Nashville.
Yeah, Turris has been an absolute letdown in Nashville so far, unless maybe he really bounces back next year. But Duchene, hands down, the best center available via free agency. And I think Nashville's going to pull the stops to get him. They want him. You free up $9 million in cap. You can definitely make a play.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that's the big trade. The other trade, which was not... Well, I guess there was two more trades. This one is a really insignificant trade. The New Jersey Devils trade John Quenneville to Colorado for John Hayden. That doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't mean anything to you?
Not huge. Just depth trade.
The other trade was the Tampa Bay and Vancouver trade. This one was actually really interesting. So Tampa Bay trades JT Miller, who we both agreed off camera that we like earlier. Trade to Vancouver for Marek Mazinek. I don't know if I'm saying that right. 2019 third, which is 71st overall, and a 2020 first round pick conditional. I don't know what the condition is on that pick, but I think JT Miller is one of the most underrated players in the NHL, to be honest.
Absolutely. But, again, another team has to shed cap. Tampa Bay Lightning, they got to shed cap.
Yep.
JT Miller's one of those guys.
And JT Miller was part of New York Rangers for a while and kind of was shipped out during that whole Rangers shed.
Yep.
Went to Tampa, played well, but I mean, he's overshadowed by Stamkos and Kucherov and Point. And so I think this is a great trade for Vancouver. I don't know about that conditional first round pick.
I remember when the Rangers got rid of JT Miller, I said, no.
Yeah.
There's other players, yes, but not JT Miller. Come on.
He's
I've
great.
always liked that guy.
So in cap news, cap's going up to $81.5 million, and I believe you said
it's $1.5 million less than was originally projected
by Bettman.
By Bettman, yeah.
So teams that's why we didn't see a lot of trades Friday night.
That's also why we're seeing a little bit of a salary dump going on right now, and we'll probably continue to see a little bit of
exactly. So all the predictions of who might go where, who will sign for what, just got a lot more complicated, especially for Toronto because they've got a lot going on there. But yeah,
$1.5 million is a big deal in a salary cap.
It seems so insignificant, but it's huge.
Absolutely huge. $1.5 million can make or break a potential deal to lure a big-time free agent to your team. 1.5 million, even 500,000 can make all the difference. 1.5 million can even add you a nice depth piece on your fourth line.
That's having a complete team and needing to sign someone as a backup goalie, and you sign Ryan Miller for $1.125 million.
There you go.
Perfect. It's just a little piece that could complete your team. So it is a big deal. I don't think people ever realize it, but yeah, it's important, and I can't imagine GMs are too happy about it.
Oh, no, because 83 million seemed to be the magic number for weeks and weeks. And a lot of people just had that set in their minds. Okay, it's going to be 83 million. It's going to be 83 million. And then all of a sudden it comes at 1.5 lower and you think, oh boy, that changes things.
Did they give a reason?
No, it's based on the number crunching and the projections. So I think I read that some people were saying they had a lot of GMs were saying they had two plans. One was for 83 and one was for 82. Oh. And so actually their low plan was actually higher than it ended up being.
Wow,
so.
Interesting. I wonder if Gary Bettman apologized or if he's just like, this is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's nothing really to apologize for. They have number crunchers that project where they think it will be based on, and they're trying to affect the player escrow too. I think that's why it didn't go up as high. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Legit. I just want to touch on the awards show really, really quick before we get into the rule changes. What's your thoughts on the awards? Did you watch the awards? I didn't either. Did you?
I don't watch it. I actually boycott the NHL awards. The whole thing's kind of a farce.
I know someone who
my thing.
I know someone who did, and it took them like an hour to do the first 3 trophies.
Yeah, that's the big reason why I don't. I like voting. I like giving opinions on who I think is going to win each award. I love the discussion, the debate, but for the actual award show itself, oh man, I find it very hard to sit through. And I honestly haven't watched the NHL awards in probably 3 years.
Yeah,
maybe 4 years.
I think I'm in the same boat. It's been a while.
I just can't do it.
It's just so much of a show.
Yes, big time.
I understand it, and it's great for the players, and it is a pretty cool experience for them to be in there and stuff, But I just hate bringing celebrities up on stage and doing these cheesy little intros and stuff, and everything. It's just a bit much. The Carey Price thing was pretty cool. That little kid.
Yes,
there are definitely some other moments and stuff there, like the little trophies, or not the little trophies, but when the community trophies, when a player does something really good for the community. A lot of times we don't hear those stories, so to see the nominations and their stories and what they did for the communities, I think is pretty important. And it's a shame that stuff isn't a little bit more popular throughout the year. But I think the NHL generally does a pretty good job about that stuff. They have the Hockey Fights Cancer month. I think it's an entire month now. Then they have I think they do like a Pride thing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they change all the logos. For everyone. Hockey's for everyone. Yeah, that's what it's called. So I think the NHL does a pretty good job with that compared to the other professional sports leagues. Interesting that we don't have any officially homosexual players in the NHL. I think we talked about this off camera maybe the other day. Like in the NFL, there's some people who've come out. I think in baseball there are too, but there's none in hockey.
Really? I thought there was.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it was after the fact. Maybe after they retired, they came. I'm almost positive maybe. I've heard stories of that. I'm almost positive. Maybe there's no current players that have, but I'm almost positive I've heard of hockey players.
I'm because
I think when they have that that event going on, I think that's when you hear the stories of, well, I was a player and I kept it hidden from my teammates, and like, I've definitely heard of stories like that.
I have to look and see, but I don't think there's any current players that have verbally come out. But it's obviously a touchy subject. But I mean, it's a shame that they can't, because there's so much. I mean, it's not like coming out in real life and stuff when you can be private about it and whatever, and only tell your friends and family. You're a hockey player. The world's gonna know, and you're in a locker room with 20 other men who are naked all the time in there. So I can understand the hesitation, but yeah. Back to the award show. Yawn. All right, rule changes. Hook me up, brother.
There's a lot of them. Hopefully this doesn't get too boring, but we'll go through them real quick.
No, it's important information.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll read one, and then we'll just have a little chat about it and say. So the first one is Coach's Challenge. I think we all knew something was going to be tinkered with there.
Yep.
So right now you can Coach's Challenge an offside or a goaltender interference play or something like that. So they're going to be adding a third section to that, which is basically you can challenge any goal that occurs in the offensive zone that should have resulted in a play stoppage. So, for example, things like pucks hitting spectator netting, pucks high stick to a teammate in the offensive zone, pucks out of play but are subsequently touched in the offensive zone and they get put back in play, hand passes. It will not include things like penalty calls. So if you think that, hey, that should have been a trip, and if that would have been called, that goal would win, that is not going to be allowed to be challenged.
Good.
And that's basically just that. So
I'm okay. That's the right decision in my mind. I think that needed to happen with the whole netting thing with the Columbus Boston game. Oh, yeah, it's in the Columbus Boston game, and then the whole hand passing with Vegas and San Jose, like that.
Yeah,
it needed to happen. So
and it doesn't seem like there's a time limit on it as long as the puck stays in the offensive zone.
So it could happen hypothetically 4 minutes prior.
There's no specific time limit in the thing. Like, it says they're going to get later on to actually write the rule book out, and maybe when they do that, there'll be fine print that says you have a certain amount of time. But
well, there's been situations where there's been goals and we don't know about it, and then Toronto will call in, and then they'll stop. Like they'll blow the horn in the arena, and they'll stop the play. I'm wondering if they're going to do something like that. Like if it hits net, no one sees it, but then they do in the booth.
I don't think it's on them. I think it's the coach can challenge that. So basically, the teams will have their people looking for stuff, and they'll buzz down and say, "Hey, call that challenge." And so it's no longer based on your timeout. It's based. You have as many as you want. It sounds like. So the first time you do it, you get a penalty, and every time after, you get a double minor.
Right. Double minor. Yeah. They want to try to also force them to not use them because they have a fear, like everyone has a fear of it's going to drastically slow down the game.
Yeah.
And that's what I would hate to see. But I would also hate to see, the ability for them to use it strategically. Like, oh, our guys are a little tired. Okay, call a coach's challenge. Let's get a timeout. But they're not going to do it if there's a minor or double minor attached to it.
We see that a little bit already. They've strategically used a few coach challenges to get some rests. But yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. It says too that the Situation Room in Toronto will continue to initiate the reviews in the final minute of the game, so it's going to be on them to do that. Then we have changes to the referees when they call major and match penalties. Whenever they call a major or match penalty, but not for fighting, but say like it's like an egregious hit or a high stick with blood or something that they feel that this player needs to be kicked out of the game or 5 minute. They're allowed to go look and review that now to make sure that they made the right call. They're not allowed to remove the call altogether, but they can say, hey, that was bad. You're getting a double minor for that or a 5 minute, and then go and look at it and say, okay, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought, but it was still a penalty. And downgrade it to the 2 minute.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think that's really good. It's going to cause the game to slow down a lot, but I'm in the side of the ring where I don't care how long it takes. I want things to be right.
One thing about this is they do not have contact with the Situation Room. This is totally on them
with
looking at the screens, the little screens on the ice. Yeah,
that's fine. It's ridiculous, but it's fine. Whatever. I do understand the opposite side of the argument, though, that just play the game. Like let's go old school. Let the refs call it, and everyone's in the same boat. So
yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Exactly.
I understand that. Yeah, I like the idea for the majors to be reviewable because that's a huge thing. As we saw in the playoffs.
Yes.
Where
we
4
saw.
goals can be scored. It's big, and you obviously want the right call.
Yeah.
I get that. But I'm wondering if there's ever a point where just everything should be reviewed by a third party and then just overrule it, because then you could speed it up even faster. Instead of having the refs, skate over to the timekeeper's area and stare at a little tablet. Why can't there just be an almighty eye in the sky that can just overturn and overrule based on video review? I mean, heck, us at home are seeing replays of the play before the referees are even seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think we take usually referees come up the ranks just like players do. You start in the queue and then you go to the AHL, whatever, and then the NHL. Let's bring an AHL ref in for every single game, stick him between the penalty boxes with the timekeeper and stuff, give him a screen and allow him to be the fifth referee or the fifth official and allow him to make the final decisions. And if he's, if there's a lot going on and stuff and he's always watching, but if there's nothing going on, he can watch the game and see it with his own eyes and then look at it, and maybe by the time the referees come over,
well,
he can help make
if I was to appoint somebody the almighty eye in the sky, Kerry Fraser.
Heck yeah.
100%.
Man, he does some great blog posts and
where he breaks
reviews,
stuff down and he brings up points a lot of times. I thought, wow, I never even thought of that. He's just so knowledgeable because he was a referee for so long.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be the perfect guy, and he's got a great personality and great hair.
Great hair.
Great hair.
Next up, we have a helmet change, and this is not in stone yet. It still says subject to further consultation with the Players Association. But basically, if your helmet comes off now, you either have to A, go get it and put it back on, or B, you have to go back to the bench. And it says if you're in the middle of making a play, you will have a reasonable amount of time to complete that play, and then you have to do one or the other.
I disagree with this rule change, and I think I'm in the minority here, but I think it should be subjective. I think that the player should decide. If they lose their helmet and they want to risk getting hurt, then they play without a helmet. If they lose their helmet and they're scared of getting hurt, they go to the bench. Whatever happens is on them. I don't like the mandatory fact that they have to skate back to the bench.
It's strategic for the NHL. Look at the concussion lawsuit.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, they're doing everything to make themselves look better, to say, we care about player safety. But with the speed of the game today, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Mm-hmm. Although I would like to see Jofa helmets come back. Those things were awesome. Sorry, I just had to throw that in.
No way.
I think of Yari Curry wearing that thing. Man, those were the days. Jofa.
Classic.
So what do you think of this? The final part of that helmet rule is if you intentionally remove another player's helmet, you get a roughing penalty automatically.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Yeah, I have no disagreements.
If their strap is done correctly, I agree with that. Because, you're going to rough them up if you want to haul that off.
Do you remember the time Marc-Andre Fleury pushed up the back of the helmet of... Was it?
I can't remember who was in front of him, and he kept pushing it forward so it was over his eyes.
I think it was Crosby, maybe.
I can't remember. But I remember that clip vividly.
Or was it Ovechkin? Or...
Hilarious.
Yeah,
you gotta love
great.
Fleury.
Yeah.
Remember when there was a scuffle and he was reaching in and tickling somebody?
Yeah. Do you know if it's true if he yells poke check when he poke checks? I heard that.
I'm not sure.
I heard that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would be amazing if it was true.
Yeah, given his personality. I love that guy.
All right, what's next?
Line changes for defensive teams. So basically, if a team dumps the puck in before they hit the red line and the goalie freezes the puck, that team or the defending team can't change lines. And if the defending team knocks their own net off, they also cannot go for a line change. And in both situations, the offensive team gets to pick which side of the circle they want to take the face-off from.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I like the face-off choice.
Some
guys are better on specific sides.
Absolutely.
Or you could have different plays done up per side. I like that. That's interesting.
As long as it doesn't slow down the game, as long as there's not a huddle of the guys deciding what dot to go on and you're sitting there waiting for 15 seconds. Just choose.
Yeah, just pick one.
If a breakaway is happening and a goalie knocks his own net off the thing, automatic goal.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I like that.
That's simple, easy, black and white.
Yeah, there's no argument there.
Yeah.
Did he really push it off? Well,
no one else was around.
No one was around.
Yeah.
And then just as puck out of bounds, when the attacking team is responsible for the puck going out of play in the attacking zone, in all instances, the faceoff will be conducted at one of the two faceoff dots in the attacking zone.
Okay, yeah.
And that's pretty much it for right now, anyway, for changes.
For right now, yeah, we're not getting any standings changes. They're going to wait for the CBA. Yeah. They're going to wait for the next CBA negotiations to happen. They can talk about whether they want to change it from divisional matchups in the playoffs and all that stuff. So I think that's going to be a really exciting time for hockey, even though there's a threat of a lockout, which would be obviously terrible.
Yes.
The potential changes has me very excited because I hate the way things are. I think you agree with me. I think we've had this conversation before that we prefer 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7.
Oh,
3 versus
yes.
Like
When it comes
divisional
to the
matchups
seeding,
and stuff.
Yeah, if I have to watch the Pittsburgh Penguins play the Washington Capitals again in the second round, I'm going to eat my hat. Come on, how many times do we need to see that? Or if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you don't want to run into Boston in the first round. You're tired of that.
Exactly.
You don't want to see that.
Exactly.
We're getting the same matchups over and over again. I know I was doing up a system. I was going to put it on my channel, actually, where in the first round, we would actually see East versus West teams.
1 versus 16.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
1 versus 16. Then we would see matchups we've never seen potentially for decades. You know, and obviously the NHL was smaller, or matchups we never thought would happen or could only get in the Stanley Cup final.
I understand the want to create rivalries, but it actually makes it boring, I think, in a little bit. Like, I'm as great as Toronto Boston series is. Don't you just want to see these two teams play? Like, don't you just want to see Toronto play someone else?
Yeah, I like fresh matchups. Is always very exciting. Now imagine a completely different system where it opens up in the playoffs, East and West, and the first round you have Calgary or Edmonton against Montreal.
Yeah,
in the first round. Wow, that would be spectacular.
That would be awesome. Or
I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
of course, for travel, it would kind of suck, but the way they draw out the playoffs now and time between games, I don't think it would bother anyone.
Exactly. Like a Detroit, Colorado.
Series. Those were great.
Heck yeah.
Those were great series. Edmonton, Dallas from the 90s.
Edmonton, Dallas.
Incredible series. Man, they banged the hell out of each other. Wow.
Obviously it's possible for them to play each other.
Yeah, they need to change up the seeding. I really don't like this new system, in the top 3 and the divisions, and then, you've battled it out for the wild cards. I just don't like it. It was intriguing when it was first announced because I thought, okay, well, something new, it's different, but now that we've had it for so long.
Did you hear about this potential discussion about having the top 6 locked in and then the 4 teams after that battle in a short tournament for like a weekend to get the last 2 wildcard spots?
Weird.
I think that would be amazing.
So kind of like a series before the series.
Exactly, pre-playoffs. Playoffs. It would be very intense.
Kind of sounds like what I had in mind because there's always that argument of tanking, where you want to get a high draft pick. They swapped it so that you could either move up or down, like New Jersey moved up and so on. I had suggested a while back, and I did a video about it, where you have the teams that don't make the playoffs. 16 teams make it, 16 don't. Once Seattle enters the NHL, and you have those 16 teams play their own playoff within the playoffs to earn draft picks 1 through 16.
That would be that. I mean,
you earn the first overall.
That's
pick.
A lot of hockey to watch, but
I would love it personally. I mean, come on, more hockey.
It would be exciting. It would remove tanking.
Now imagine players. Oh wait, our season's not over. Now we're in our own playoff to try to win the first overall pick.
I think some players just want the season to be over so they can go to the beach and.
Some probably do, but it would be interesting, to say the least.
If tanking wasn't a thing, so let's say every team is honest and every game they play they're trying to win. Nobody's purposely trying to lose. Do you think the current system would be fair to award the worst team the first pick? So in a perfect world, nobody games the system. They're playing as hard as they can. Do you think it's fair that the best pick goes to the worst team to try to keep the cycle going?
Yes.
But we know we don't live in that perfect world.
Well, no, the whole percentage draft lottery thing, like, it's not a guarantee. It's like 25% or whatever it is.
It's like 18?
Yeah.
Something
like that. So, they've countered it quite well. You see teams move up, move down. Look at the year Buffalo should have had first overall.
Yeah.
It can happen.
And
so
this
you
year
can tank.
with New Jersey,
like people move, they move around. But I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of playing for your draft pick.
It gives more incentive.
Be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
it probably never happened. But
no, unfortunately. But
just because more games being played is a PA issue, right away they throw that down.
Yes.
And number 2, it seems like the GMs like the bad teams getting chances at picks.
Yeah.
Owners would love it though.
Oh yeah,
more money,
in
their pocket.
And players get paid per game, players that go into the playoffs get bonuses based on if they win the series or something like that. Would those players in the other tournament get paid beyond the regular season?
There'd be a lot of kinks
That's
to work
a whole
out.
another issue in
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah, because those wouldn't be considered part of their salary they signed for. Yeah,
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
Back to the rule changes. I heard that they discussed removing offside completely from hockey.
Ooh.
Like they actually had a vote on it.
Wow, 1980s Wayne Gretzky just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because that guy was never playing defense. He was always up at the other team's blue line, just waiting. Like, come on, guys, circling. Come on, give me the puck. But, man, if they did that, it would drastically alter the game, and people would then start to argue over the rule book. Oh, well, those records were before, offsides were abolished.
Yeah.
That is too major of a change.
It's too much.
It'd be like, bigger nets or bigger ice surface.
Yeah.
Then everyone would argue, oh, well, these numbers were achieved before that rule change. It's too big of a change, I think.
I agree.
Although I did like, of course, eliminating the two-line pass. That
that needed to go.
Yeah.
That was...
It sped up the game so much. I can't even imagine the game with that back.
Those were dark years of hockey.
Yeah, they really were. Yeah. New Jersey.
Yeah. God damn you, New Jersey. That's all I have written down here is things to discuss. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think that's pretty much it.
You're just chilling.
Yeah. This one's a little shorter than normally, but
what's it at?
That's what she said.
What are we at?
About 47 minutes or so.
Yeah, like 46, 47
What do you
minutes.
normally go? An hour or more?
Depends. Sometimes it's
Because I've seen some
somewhere
over
around
an
like
hour.
50, somewhere like an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. I really don't keep track. We just kind of go until we go and just kind of talk about nonsense, whatever.
Okay. Something I want to bring up just because it
Yep.
fires me up. I'm going to get fired up. Let's talk about Mitch Marner.
Mitch Marner,
Oh.
is he staying or going?
Well, this is the biggest talking point right now, and it really is coming more and more clear that Mitch Marner is not interested in going as long-term as people would hope. Why? Why is that? That's my big question. Why? I don't understand why he wouldn't want to go long-term with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think it's because the new TV deal comes out.
The Rogers one?
No, in the States, the NBC deal is coming up.
Oh, and
which is going to be renewed, and there's rumors that ESPN is going in on it. So that's going to be bumping the salary up significantly, or the salary cap.
He knows that he has
And
potential
he
to make
wants basically the 5 or the 4, and then he wants to re-sign while he's still a very good player for that much more money.
Being strategic, very strategic. But, man, Toronto's got so little cap to potentially give him what he wants. Personally, I think Toronto put themselves in a bad situation when they went out and landed John Tavares. That completely changed everything. You go out and get him at $11 million, and apparently he still took a discount, which is insanity to me.
I know.
John Tavares is an incredible player. He's one of the best centers in the league, but $11 million, that altered everything. When they had their homegrown talent for years, with Nylander, with Matthews, Marner, and now suddenly you throw a rock like into the spokes of the wheel and everything's falling apart. What do you do? They had the Nylander situation last year. This year it's like repeat, but Marner instead of Nylander. Word is he wants Matthews money.
So if you're Toronto and I'm Marner, I want 4 years. Do you sign me?
Yeah, I definitely would. I'm throwing this out here. I'll probably get hate for it right now. I would take Mitch Marner over Austin Matthews any day.
I would too.
Ooh.
I agree.
Okay, well that went well.
I mean, I have
Better than I
I
thought.
have a Matthews jersey hanging back there, but I'd still take Mitch Marner.
That's no knock on Matthews, but I look at overall health, ability to play a full 82 game schedule. But a lot of people argue too, well, Mitch Marner's only doing what he's doing because he's playing with Tavares and so on. He's got great company to play with. I get it, but Mitch Marner is one of the best wingers in the NHL today. What I see out of him, that compete level, the ability to create. I think the kid could even shuffle to center and have insane success.
I agree completely.
He's that good.
Yep.
I love Mitch Marner. I would keep him. And I'm going to throw it out there. If I had to, push come to shove, even though Kyle Dubas said he would never do it, I would trade William Nylander.
I think he should trade William Nylander, just strictly from the cap perspective. But you don't think Toronto would play a little hardball with Marner and be like, you only want to sign for 4 years? Then
Well, he came
I'll trade
out.
you.
Remember, he came out and said, Kyle Dubas said, like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. This is my number one priority: is get him signed and get it done.
Yeah.
And it's the other side that's saying, no. You were like that with Nylander. You were like that with Matthews. I'm getting what I'm due. Like, I've led the points for the last 2 years.
Exactly.
I'm
he's the man.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and
That's-
rightfully so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can't give Nylander what he wants and Matthews what he wants and not give
That's where
Marner
Dubas
was.
messed up a little bit. The Nylander situation, he
Yeah.
caved. He kept going higher and higher and higher, and then Nylander finally said, okay, yeah, I'll sign. And then he comes back, and then he had kind of an abysmal year. He didn't have a proper training camp and everything. It was a very hard adjustment for him. It was bad. And Nylander got a lot of hate for it. Some of it I understand to a degree, but there's limits to everything. But when you give Austin Matthews that kind of money, why can't Marner say I want equal to that? When, to me, he's basically equal to an Austin Matthews. They're in a bad spot. They really are. And now with Tavares in the mix, wow.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Unrelated to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Edmonton Oilers. If you're Connor McDavid, do you request a trade?
I 100% would if there's absolutely no positive signs in 2 more years. But Connor McDavid being the type of guy he is, I don't think he would ever do it, to be honest. Because his love for the game, respect level, that would kind of fall outside of his values.
These are his prime years, though.
They are, and they're being wasted to a degree. I mean, when you got a guy that can, win the scoring race just like that, back to back, and like last year, barely sniffing the playoffs.
Yeah,
that is sad. When you got the best player in the world, Connor McDavid is the best player in the world.
What if Connor McDavid says, "I want to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs"?
Yeah, they can't afford him.
Like, what do you do when you have a player that only wants to play for one team, but he can't play for that team?
I almost hope he does, because the Edmonton Oilers have been an absolute laughingstock for a very long time.
It's really unfortunate for Edmonton Oilers fans.
Yeah, you go a decade, you don't make the playoffs, then you make the playoffs 1 year, and then it all falls apart again.
Yeah, it completely falls apart.
You get all these first round draft picks, and then now one's winning the Hart with the New Jersey Devils. I mean, come on, man, you can't get any worse. I'm hoping Holland though actually has full control.
Yep.
If he has full control, things could start to turn around. But again, it's going to be years away.
It's going to be years, absolutely. I have another question for you. Whose fans do you feel worse for? Edmonton Oilers fans, Ottawa Senators fans, or Buffalo Sabres fans?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to say Ottawa.
Yeah,
me too. Ottawa.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ottawa.
It all comes down to
if you got a
Melnick.
bad owner, there's no way out of that.
Yeah.
Definitely Eugene Melnick. What a useless waste of skin he is.
Jeez.
Ouch.
Whatever.
Okay, since we're ranting, I'm gonna rant.
Heck yeah.
Okay,
That's rant.
so you get people on the TV like Brian Burke, who when Matthews was signed, he was like, I wouldn't have given him 5. That's too short. 5's too short. He should have been signed up long term. Should have gave him the full. But then you have the GMs in the meetings talking about the CBA, talking about trying to restrict the maximum terms to 5 years. So if right now you can sign a guy for 8 years, but in theory on paper they want to reduce it to 5 years, why are they mad when a 5-year contract is signed? Why are they still pushing for that max when in what they believe on paper, like written into the rules, they want a maximum 5-year term?
I think it should be 5 years. I don't think it should be 8.
But see, that's fine with me. But why do you get mad when, if say you're asking for 5 years, like in paper? Like, I don't want there to be 6, 7, 8 year terms. I want there to just be 5, and the PA's like, nope, we're fighting you on that, and they end up winning. And then Matthew signs to a 5-year term, and then all the GM types are all like, oh, you can't give him 5 years. You got to go max. You got to lock him up.
Oh, I agree. It is
It's
silly.
just like, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either, honestly.
I think some of it can come down though to players just losing their way over so many years. Corey Perry's the perfect example. You know, he's no longer the player he was, and that cap hit's insane. 5 years can be a lot safer than 7. Or if you're signing up with the team you were on, well, 8 years, big difference there.
Like
3
8 years is a long time. That's
It is.
basically a decade.
What do you guys think about young players getting paid before they do anything now?
I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. I remember when Subban signed that bridge deal before his big contract.
Yep.
I 100% agreed with that.
Yeah.
Even though he showcased himself as becoming one of the best defensemen in the NHL, prove it outside your entry level, do this 2-year deal, bridge deal, and then after that's the big one.
I agree.
I honestly have said for a long time that Edmonton started paying guys off entry level too soon.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys got paid before they really achieved. You could say it went to their head or not, but that changes a player. It definitely does. And then you look in Toronto and these guys, well, I mean, come on. And Austin Matthews only comes around every so long, or Mitch Marner, I get it.
Yeah.
But man, those are big contracts coming off entry level. Whew. Insane. Where some guys play, 4 years after an entry level contract to get a deal like that.
There are some exceptions, like Crosby, and David,
or an Ovechkin.
Yeah. Would you rather have a player in your team get paid right away, not do anything for the first 5 years, and then eventually win a cup, or not get paid a lot, win a cup, and then pay him for what he has done in the past?
It all comes down to the player.
Because that happened in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Like Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane kind of got paid after they did.
Yeah, they got rewarded, basically. They say, here's your reward for bringing us Stanley Cups.
And now they're not in their prime, but they're still getting paid.
Patrick Kane's still a hell of a player, though.
He is. Yeah.
And I think I read that most of the teams that have recently paid their players, they haven't actually made it that far. Like the teams that are going far are the teams that don't have the $9, $10, $11 million contracts on their roster.
Look at the St. Louis Blues.
Perfect example.
Look what they just did.
Well, in Boston too.
I think what was it, the Final Four or the Final Two? There wasn't a player with an $8 million or higher contract.
That sounds right. Absolutely.
And it makes sense. There's more depth to be paid, right? Like
yeah, absolutely. It's like in certain sports like basketball, superstars can make a huge difference. Like so, I understand that sometimes it works, but it doesn't work in hockey. There's too many variables, I think, in hockey. There's line changes. Like LeBron James isn't on the ice for 45 seconds and then goes to the bench, or on the court for 45 seconds. Like it's different. There's more. There's layers of hockey, not like there is in basketball.
So, how would you guys say we got to this point? Would you say it's GMs that were, I don't know, nervous for their jobs and they were jumping the gun, or like, because it didn't used to be like this is a recent thing for like past few years.
I think not really back in the day, but the GMs held all the power, and now I think the players hold 100% of the power.
But the question is, how did the players get to that point? Like, how did a player get to the point where you deserve to pay me, or I'm going to wait to see
media?
Think so?
Yeah, I think it's all the media that's blowing it up and talking about it and putting like shining the light on the GM. Because there has always been media around the NHL and stuff, but I mean, it's 24/7 now. Like,
do you think there's also kind of a shift where more players are coming in thinking about the payday opposed to being a champion, being a winner?
Yep, I agree.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think some of the players in Toronto, like a Nylander, like a Matthews, like a Marner, are trying to take advantage of that market to cash in as much as possible, opposed to thinking long term? Best contract in the NHL is David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins, $6.66 million.
That's a good, yeah.
This is a 90-point guy, $6.66 million. Look what Nylander's making. Look what Matthews is making. I would put Pastrnak equal to these guys, if not better than Nylander for sure.
I agree.
He's making 6.66. That is a player that's committed to the franchise, committed to build a winner. He definitely took less. He could have got way more than that.
Crosby took less way back in the day, too.
8.7, but he's the most superstitious guy.
Superstitious.
Oh, my God. Dude, change your hat. The sweat stains. Come on. But no, if I get rid of the hat, I'm not going to win. Come on, man. Anyway, that's for another day.
Tyler Seguin had a pretty good contract for a while, too.
Yeah.
Now that he doesn't anymore, kind of.
There's examples of guys taking less, buying into their franchise because they want to win. Pastrnak is the prime example. But there's a lot of players not doing that and not willing to do it.
TJ Oshie did that a couple of years ago with Washington. I thought his contract was really, really good. And look what happened. They won a Stanley Cup. So
yeah. Look at John Carlson now, $8 million man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting contracts when you compare them with other contracts for players at the same position, whether it's lefty, righty, whatnot. You can easily pick out the guys that are taking less, staying committed to the franchise, going the course, trying to win. I have so much respect for those people.
What's the worst contract in the NHL? Well,
as Don Cherry would say, Lucic.
Lucic, yeah.
Lucic.
That's the first name that came to my mind.
Definitely. Louis Eriksson's up there too.
Oh yeah.
$6 million for Eriksson. Oof, that's absolutely bad. But I mean, come on. Lucic had 6 goals. That's $1 million apiece.
Yeah, that's tough.
Good grief.
Backus too.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Lucic leaving your team?
At the time, I didn't like it.
He was an elite player.
Yeah,
at that time,
and he was grit and the fan favorite.
Yeah,
and the teammates loved him. And when the other team was on the ice, they kind of knew he was there, and they kept the shenanigans down. And,
yeah, Lucic factor. He played a role mentally.
Yeah, no, he's not on the level that. Not that he was ever really high up there anyway. Like he was a decent player, but he's not when Peter Shirley signed him in Edmonton, that was not
No,
a good
it was all about McDavid, trying to protect McDavid and have someone to play with, and it never worked out.
But Lucic, the game has passed him by. The speed of the game today, Lucic can't keep up with that.
You can't.
That's why those types of players are just a dying thing. You don't see them anymore. Like, the guys that are there just to enforce and police, it just doesn't exist.
Who do you think the slowest player ever was?
Ever?
I think
Jason Allison.
I was gonna say Hal Gill.
Hey, he won a Stanley Cup.
Man, Hal Gill.
The Penguins.
The classic lay on the ice and hold your stick out. Oh my
God. When they first brought in Hal Gill, I lost my mind. But then seeing how far he could reach, I was like, okay, they're onto something.
Exactly.
And yeah, I found a new respect for him. Yeah. But yeah, he was definitely slow.
Anything else to discuss, boys?
No, I'm okay.
I think it's good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Thanks for having me in your house and
good little reunion.
Yeah, allowing us to
was fun.
use Post to Post Studio B. Thank you guys at home watching. I really appreciate that. You can check out Justin on his channel at Hands Down Hockey on YouTube. I think he's also on Twitter.
Yep, at Justin the Man 87.
Heck yeah, and
don't worry about me.
Yeah, all right. Jason does a lot of stuff on our Discord. Shout out to our Discord peeps.
Shout out to Discord.
Heck yeah, join our Discord. Link in the description. So thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Regardless if you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes or Google Play Music, that's awesome. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you enjoyed all the recent hockey news, and I'm sure there's going to be lots more to discuss because we're coming up on Free Agency Day in 7 days, I think. 7 days?
That's what the date is today.
Yeah, I don't remember. 7 days. Yeah, 7 days. All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Adios.